Commvault Cyber Resilience on AWS, the ultimate protection for your cloud-native workloads. Innovate with confidence knowing that your critical AWS workloads are secure and recoverable. Our industry-leading solution can help you protect your data regardless of whether you're managing a hybrid environment or leading a fully digital native strategy. Experience the peace of mind that comes with comprehensive data protection. Choose Commvault Cyber Resilience on AWS for any workload, anywhere.
Hello from the nation's capital. I'm Ross Fortuna here at AWS Summit 2025 in DC. Joining me now is Dave Raley, CX Digital Program Manager at the Marine Corps Community Services. Thanks so much for joining me.
I appreciate you having me.
CX and the digital transformation at the Marine Corps Community Services. What are some of the challenges to fielding that IT at the speed of relevance for the U.S. Marine Corps, your customers, such as it were?
Yeah, it's a great question and the primary challenge. And what's interesting is I'm finding that's actually shared across the DOD. It's two specific things I think that are the biggest challenge. One, the waterfall development and acquisition process really slows down IT delivery times. You're talking 6 to 12 months to define your requirement, and then another 12 months for acquisition, another 12 months to develop or implement the thing, and then another 12 to 18 months tacked on the end for authorizations. So that process right there, and the sad part about it is if you're doing that waterfall development process, that means that you're fixing your requirements at the outset. So now you're fielding capability that are most likely not meeting the mission outcome needed 5 years later, right? So this thing, and then you add another kind of 10-year cycle on and say, well, we better not touch that because it was so much work to get it to that level. We're now going to just live with it for 10 years or more. So that's kind of the challenge that I was facing when I came into my role. In my role related to customer experience and supporting our organization and with our websites and other digital products and applications and things like that, I came into my organization, okay, I need to field these capabilities, customer data platforms, CRMs, all these types of things. And I was faced with the same thing that I think many other mission owners in the DOD face, in the Marine Corps face, which was, here's the process. And that doesn't move at the speed of business or the speed of relevance. Right? And then the second piece that was a big part of it, and I already alluded to it, is the legacy compliance practices. And so in the DOD in general, it takes 12 to 18 months to tack an authorization operator, an ATO, on the back end of any application you're buying. Whether it took you 2 days to make it or 5 years, you're still going to add 12 to 18 months. And that, now you can see that delay is a huge impact on mission outcomes. And the sad part about it is those legacy processes are not actually producing more secure systems. They're producing paper-based compliance checklists.
Right.
Does that make sense? So the shift, so addressing those two pain points was paramount to achieving speed. It was really about how do we address that, and then how do we address the compliance thing. Sorry, I'm going to add one more item real quick.
No, please.
The cost to my own organization, which I have verified when I reach out inside the communities of practice, it's in excess of $100,000 per month per system per month of delay of getting an authorization. So you can quickly calculate that every authorization in the DOD is costing a minimum $1 million to the DOD and costing 12 to 18 months.
Well, okay, so I want to pick on the waterfall thing first, just because I know that is a problem throughout government.
It is,
and that. How do you ameliorate that? How are you working to overcome that to bring things in a more agile function? Because, like you said, the timeline means the speed of technology. 18 months is centuries. So how do you?
I mean, I described 5 years to you just now, which is really probably still more of the standard in the government than not. So we attack that in two different ways. Kind of central to what we're doing is creating the right kind of enclave and landing zone for our workloads. So we spent some time, AWS IL4 GovCloud environment, SCCA compliant, with all the management layers and things like that, and got an authorization for that environment from our AO. it allows us to then host other workloads and move quickly. So that starts to collapse some of that authorization timeline.
Okay.
So when you bring in a commercial off-the-shelf item, you can migrate that into the environment, get your authorization, and be cutting over in 2 to 3 months. So
Wow.
you now shrink that timeline down quite a bit. So that helps you in just, we call that process internally, we call that process the Agile ATO process.
Right.
So that's how do we actually start to apply a DevOps lean methodology to the paper-based point-in-time process for getting authorization. So we apply that when we host virtual machines and container and COTS solutions.
Sure.
On the other side of things, where we're actually really seeing the speed that we are seeking is we have the Marine Corps' only certified DevSecOps platform, which is using the Navy's Rapid Assess Incorporate software engineering process. We got that certification last fall. And that allows us to containerized workloads that we run through that pipeline can receive authorization within 15 minutes. So we've now gone from months to get authorization to 15 minutes or thereabouts.
Right.
With an authorization. So now you're living in a world where we can have our contractors, our own teams come into the environment, do dev, take container workloads, run them through the pipeline, and receive authorization to deploy immediately. So you've really, really compressed it. So that's where we're getting a lot of the speed, is actually building our own products and deploying them, leveraging that capability.
Within cloud environments, how do you make sure all that stuff is secure and all that stuff is accessible? Because that push and pull, I imagine, difficult to figure out.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of different, I probably have 15 or 20 different pieces of security technology helping me with. We've got Palo Alto in there, Wiz, RegScale, a whole bunch of native AWS services like GuardDuty and all those types of things in there as a part of that. AppGate is helping us secure with our Cloud Native Access Point, which is one of the first in the Marine Corps that's been approved. So there's a lot of stuff there. We've achieved advanced zero trust, and we use Marine Corps Cyber Operations Group as our cybersecurity services provider for Overwatch for the environment. So that's how we've achieved that. Does that make sense?
Of course. I teasing that out a little on the edge side of things, because I know that's something I've talked to Jane Rathbun about, for example. That's something that I know is a big focus of hers, is this notion of how do you make sure that security is at that edge, particularly, in, let's say, less easy environments.
Well, the technical term for that is DDIL. I think that stands for kind of intermittent connectivity, and time more unstable. So I want to answer that question, but I want to start by laying a little bit of background. So we've been really, really successful in achieving a high degree of maturity in our environment. With the authorization, with the certification, and all the production loads, we're now hosting both on the virtual machine side of things for the mission owners and also through our software factory. And we've actually now, we call our environment Operation Stormbreaker. And Operation Stormbreaker is now actively working to support other DOD mission owners with their workloads where they seek to find that kind of collapse authorization time frame, take those things there. And I'm in discussions with various DOD components in the Marine Corps, some in the Marine Corps and some in the Department of Navy and other areas, where my current organization that I'm supporting, Marine Corps Community Services, doesn't have an edge use case like you're describing. Right. However, with the Cloud Native Access Point that we have, and through AppGate and the Palo Alto stack and some of the Cloud Native services with AWS, 100% multi-domain is a possibility. You will see in the future in the Marine Corps Software Factory, a very interesting organization that you may be aware of that's building competency.
Charlie Bach, our guy Charlie Bach.
Yes, sir. Building competency inside the Marine Corps around DevOps. And you can very quickly see a future state where there is a Marine in a contested battle space making changes to a containerized workload, using the CNAP, routing back to a software factory, getting the code assessed, and redeploying it to tactical edge all in minutes.
So I was going to say the time frame on that has to be really quick, right?
That's
at the edge of the decision-making speed, all that stuff.
And that's technically possible now, very easily. So I think you're going to see that convergence. So as maturity starts to go across the DoD in these areas, I think this is going to become a lot more than norm.
To that end, I mean, DOD components are always learning from one another. I know no matter how it is. We're in a cloud conference, cloud summit. What are you getting, and what are you giving to the other components to talk about these sort of things as far as cloud security and these processes?
Yeah, so I know that the kind of price of entry is security and resiliency for any kind of workloads that are being hosted in the cloud. So that, to me, that's the baseline which we've covered. Mm-hmm. And what I really care about is delivering that mission-enabling capability at the speed of relevance, like you open with your opening question. So to that end, I'm spending a fair amount of time connecting within communities of practice to share some of what we're doing, even collaborating with the DOD CIO's office and
terrific.
Across other things. On Monday, I'm meeting with in Austin with the Army Software Factory team. So a lot of collaboration and sharing, and that's growing more because we're all seeing that there's these pockets of excellence across the DoD where we're showing the way forward. Unfortunately, there's a lot of work to do because, as you know, a significant majority, I'm guessing, so I wouldn't say, but the significant majority of the workloads within the DoD are fitting that model that we started out with.
Yeah.
They're constrained by all these legacy processes. They're spending many years in a paper-based ATO that is not focused on security. It's focused on compliance checklist, and you're not actually achieving outcomes. So that is paramount, I think, especially with the circumstances we find ourselves now in the last several months with the new administration on driving towards efficiency and modernization. These are the things that should become commonplace across the DoD. So I want to be part of the volunteer army that's helping push that transformation forward.
Yeah, keep those lines of communication open.
Well, that's a critical part because we can learn from each other and also collectively start to get that momentum that starts to make the change.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks for being with me.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.